It's funny how quickly we can forget the elders, the ones that came before us, the ones that took their time and taught us what we now take for granted. We get so caught up in the new, the now, we don't take a minute to look back and appreciate the old, the wise. No more, though. It's time for us to come back to pay our respects and do justice to the time and toil that was spent to give us life. It's time to finish the A80. I know, it's sad, and we should feel bad, but since the time I put out the Supra's first start video to now, it's just been sitting in the garage, wasting away. Look, I got a cooler, shinier project with the A90, and Mackie got a louder, more expensive project by having a child, so the Mk4 got put in the corner and basically forgotten. Kinda like the Mini. But since you guys asked so much, let's see this project through.
Pretty spot on. Nice. Poor Supra, we have neglected you for too long. Here is the setup. It's not pretty, but it'll work. So this will plug in right here once we pull all this tape off of it. We needed the MAF so we could run the stock ECU on this setup. We're just running the stock ECU for a little bit, but we have the MAP ECU, which is what we're gonna end up using to get the car tuned and stuff like that. But for now, we're gonna run it a little with the stock ECU and then go from there. It's, again, not the prettiest, but it'll work. Got the intercooler pipe on. We got our little fake carbon fiber pipe over here that came off their Mini Cooper. I love Mini Cooper. Here's the MAP ECU. Now it's plugged in right now, but we're not going to use it. So that's the patch harness that hooks into the MAP ECU. So there's the stock ECU plugged back in and sorted. Only the best. Ice melt. Alright, we need a battery, so we're going to take one out of this car. I'll explain what this car is later. There's our battery. How many of you guys have been in this situation? Vroom, vroom. Look at how stock this is. So whatever that is around here. You can find it. Vroom, vroom. So this is a idle air control valve breather. Now these work in non-MAF systems, but of course we are running a MAF, so we do need to remove this. In its place we'll be putting this hard line. This is the factory hard line that actually goes in here. Okay, so we've got this hose now. Comes over here. We just needed to recirculate into over here without, of course, nuking ourselves on turbine. So I made a little contraption of hoses, and it's not good, but you know, it'll work. Oh! All right, that's not going anywhere. So we have our MAF, and then we have our recirc pipe, which recircs from the idle air control valve. Yes, it's pretty danger close to the exhaust side, but that's all right. So what we'll do is double check everything and then probably just start it up. One thing we totally forgot to do though was to actually plug in the MAF. So we need to pull this resistor out. That is actually for the MAP ECU. Last step is to reconnect the battery. Okay, fairly uneventful. Fingers crossed, she starts with the ghetto setup we have, so let's see. I used the wrong key. Where's the bloody keys? I can't find the key. I think Mackie may have taken it upstairs and putting the baby to sleep. So, I'm going to disconnect the battery tomorrow. We'll start this thing and hopefully go for a drive because it'll stop raining. So, yeah. Okay, it is time to try and start this car. It should start. There's no reason why it shouldn't start. So, okay, yeah, I've lost a little bit of my hearing. It's quite loud. We really should get an exhaust for this thing done soon, because, geez Louise. I didn't see anything in particular. I was looking for a little bit of an oil leak. We might get there eventually. It seems that the oil drain on the turbo is dripping the tiniest bit, and there was a coolant leak somewhere back here. But I'm failing to find it now. I don't know if Mackie tightened up any of the stuff, but maybe he did. So I just need to check a couple of the coolant lines on the block and make sure that there's no major coolant leak. But it looks pretty good. Honestly, I think it will probably drive without an issue. So yeah, I guess we'll take it out for a spin pretty soon. And one thing I did want to check was if this would clear the hood, which I think it should. It doesn't seem like it, seems like it's under the line of where the radiator fan shroud goes. So yeah, that's pretty good. The only thing is these headlights aren't bolted in. So we'll bolt the headlights in and then I'll double check all the pipes and everything. And maybe see if I can tighten up that oil drain for the turbo, and that should take care of that oil leak. Now you guys might think this is moving backwards, but I'm actually going to start taking all this off again, at least pulling it apart, because I need to take the compressor side off of this turbo. So I'm going to pull the compressor housing off. That way I'll be able to better reach the oh yeah, it's leaking for sure. See, it's fresh oil in there. That way I'll be able to better reach the oil drain line and hopefully be able to tighten it up properly, because I feel like it's just not done up correctly. It's the only place that it seems to be leaking from, so we may as well take care of it now. And this, I don't know why we didn't cut this properly. Yeah, I'm just gonna cut that shorter. This is too annoying. So people who have worked on JZs before will know that this water neck has these water outlet inlet lines that go to various places on this side, but you don't need them. So we have this stupid loop here. I don't know why it's so long. The right thing to do is to lop these off and get them welded, or buy a water neck that actually just has all this stuff already done. But what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna cut this
I'm gonna make it shorter. It's okay if it pinches off because you don't need flow in here anyway. It goes from the same place to the same place. You just need it so that it doesn't get in the way of stuff. So yeah. So we cut this much out of it, and now it's just a little tiny loop. It's a little kinked, but that's perfectly fine because, again, we don't need flow through here. We just need it to be blocked off so the water neck can flow here.
This is the compressor side to our turbo. You can see it has the surge protection housing or whatever it's called. And this is what it looks like from the back. Quite shiny and quite nice because it is quite new. So you can see already there was a little bit of oil seepage into here just from it dripping down onto the back of the compressor housing and not over here, so that's fine. Here is our compressor, and let's see, it is quite nice. It is a ball bearing turbo. It has these nice sharp tips, great machining on this, and it's actually a pretty decently sized inducer. They say it's a 66 millimeter if I remember correctly, and yeah, so it's nice. It spins nice. Obviously, it is ball bearing and it is oiled because we had just started it. That's why it's spinning so nicely. Ball bearings don't always spin like this. That is one thing to note, though. Also, yeah, this got a little rusty, and we'll clean it up a little bit. That's better. So the offending oil line is this one, and you can see it's super oily. Yeah, so it is leaking oil for sure. So what we're gonna do is just clean it off and double check to see where the oil is coming from. It looks like it's coming from the fitting, which literally would just mean that the fitting is not tied up. I'm gonna check real quickly to make sure it's not coming from the actual flange. I don't believe it is. So yeah, let's try tightening this bad boy up and see what happens. Here I have my AN wrench, which is an adjustable. It's aluminum, so it won't scratch or mar the surface on the AN fitting. So yeah, all we do is we go over here. It is about as tight as it'll get. If there is something wrong with it, we'll have to disassemble it again. But for now, I think I'm going to say that's job done. Hopefully that takes care of our oil leak. That is it. That is complete. The coolant leak, I didn't spot it, so I guess we'll maybe see it once we get the water pump spinning beyond idle levels. But the oil leak, we tightened up that oil drain, and it should do it, and everything else is back on. So again, let me remind you, temporary setup. We won't be running the MAF for too long, so we won't have all these random lines and stuff, and we'll just have a normal intake off of this. But for now, yeah, this will work. So maybe let's take it for a spin. To drive the Supra, we gotta move some cars. Well, mainly we just gotta move this car. See what I have to deal with? People just drive like maniacs. Yeah, stop doing that. Now, for those of you who haven't been in an Alfa Romeo before, this is a Giulia Quadrifoglio. It's got a ZF 8-speed. Look at this. Does this look familiar, guys? Does it look exactly like the one in the Supra? Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. Now, the brakes in this car are so weird. What's that? Nothing. Now let's start this thing up. Go def. And just move it out of the garage if we can. Let's put the key in. Alright. Bums away. Plates on this thing. Maybe not for this particular car. All right, let's not destroy the paint.
What paint?
Very nice. Amazing how this Supra and this Supra have the same license plate number. Very curious fact. Maybe it's just the zero is not in the right place.
Maybe we're making that much worse.
We need an exhaust pretty ASAP. My only concern is popping an intercooler pipe. Doesn't really make a boost. Well, I didn't get too far into it, but is that like 50% volume?
We don't know what the boost is set to, so I wouldn't, until we get a boost gauge, I wouldn't necessarily boost it, just in case. No? Nothing?
Doesn't feel like it.
But,
Ooh, I am deaf.
wasn't that bad.
Alright, it's pretty loud. Yeah, it didn't make boost, but we'll see if there's any leaks or anything, which is mainly what this first drive is for. But I drove well. The suspension, steering, everything was fine before, so there's no reason for it to not be now. But yeah, needs an exhaust because I've lost my hearing a bit. So yeah, anyways, cool. Alright, sir, that was a wonderful experience. Hey, look, the rust has come off of the exhaust side. Wonderful. I mean, like, it seemed like the gate was open. Like, it just wasn't, it didn't seem like it was making any boost at all. But yeah, other than that, I'd say it was a pretty successful test drive. It drives and it stays on.
This one's a bit iffy here. You see it?
I think this is too far forward.
Yeah.
So next on the checklist, check wastegate, check for boost leaks, and then see if we can make some boost again another time. All right, and that's it for this episode of the A80 build. I know it's been like a year since the first start and now the first drive. Don't ask. I'm awful with these projects. Anyways, the car isn't making boost properly. It feels like it's kind of making boost, but then kind of just fizzles out. I don't know. It seems more NA than turbo. So we'll take a look. There's potentially a boost leak, potentially vacuum leak or vacuum ports that aren't proper and the wastegate's not on properly. I don't know. There's a ton of possibilities, so we'll check that out next time. And then it's a rat's nest of wiring in there with the early 2000s alarm garbage. Ugh. And then super loud. Needs an exhaust. All right, it's just an open downpipe right now, and it's awful. It smells terrible, and my neighbors are all calling the HOA. They're telling them to kick us out of the neighborhood. It's a whole thing, you know. It's a whole thing. We're gonna get an exhaust on it, and hopefully just do all the bits and pieces. Keep it on the stock ECU for now while we're working out all the problems. There's also a small coolant leak. It's probably just a clamp or something, but it is leaking a fair bit of coolant. And Toyota red coolant. This stuff's like liquid gold, I swear to God. It's hard to get. Right now the car is just running some water, and we're gonna flush the system a couple times because that car has sat for the last 5-6 years. Yeah, a lot of potential for some rust and stuff in the coolant passageways. If you like the video and you like the project, please do drop a like and subscribe if you're new. We've got the A80, we've got an A90 rebuild, we've got that A80. We'll get to that later. And then we've got this 1959 Mini Cooper with a Honda B-Series B18 C5 Integra Type R. Oh, it's so cool. I haven't worked on it in like 5-6 years. Yeah, all right. I'll get to that one too, okay? one thing at a time. Once the A80 is done, we'll do that. I said I wouldn't buy any more projects until I finish that car. We'll see if I can stick to that. So yeah, appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching, and bye.